Hey everybody, this is day 987 days, and we still have not heard from Veronica Escobar as far as even acknowledging our inquiry with her a couple weeks ago. Also, we sent many inquiries to the AUSA, those are the Attorney General's office there with the DA, and also the FBI. So these are important inquiries. We have very, very important information. And of course, we're asking for 1,000 letters to be sent to Inspector General Horowitz, Mr. Horowitz, there in Washington, D.C., who oversees all other, he's the Inspector General. He can inspect the investigation of Richard Halliday. So that's botched. It's a botched investigation. And no wonder it's botched um, because we have very, very good information that they may be hiding the remains of our son. And why would they do such a thing? And I'm thinking that Vanessa Guillen shook things up pretty badly. Also with Caleb Smither, also with Enrique Roman Martinez, also with Austin Hawk, also with Gregory Morales, also with Elder Fernandez. I think the negligence and the dereliction of duty, even what is his name? JJ. His house just got demolished. Uh, he even absolutely, when he heard our story, said that that's negligence. That's what he called it, absolute negligence. He first asked, "Did Richard leave with a girl?" Because normally these young soldiers leave with a girl, because the grooming is there, the negligence is there, the I think it's the culture. I would say it's a foreign ideology, and it's a culture that Richard did not belong to. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying that he didn't like beautiful women. Um, I think that the young mother was very beautiful, and so um, yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the leadership does not prepare for all of these situations, and they should, because they have the national defense of our country in their hands, and we have given them everything to defend the Constitution, the land, and the people. We've given them everything, anything they asked, and it has been fraud, waste, and abuse. Absolutely fraud, waste, and abuse. And so yesterday, I wrote it down just so I wouldn't forget it. And um, Judge Xavier, I can say Javier um, Rodriguez, did something extraordinary. Um, he had a huge victory for all of us families with missing loved ones, and also for Gold Star families. And so I think you should really pay attention to what's going on with Judge Javier Rodriguez. So let me show you. Um, Here he is. And write him a thank you note, absolutely, for what he did for the victims. Let me see if I can. Yeah. This is the article for the victims. The DOJ, the Department of Justice, reaches a settlement with families of Sutherland Springs mass shooting. This happened many years ago, but as you see, the settlement came yesterday, April 5th, 2023. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful gift from the judge. And I don't know if he meant it to be that way, but for Easter, for Maundy Thursday. Today is Maundy Thursday. And if you didn't know, that's how we we inherited the celebration of Maundy Thursday with baskets um, for Easter. So, this is how our tradition with baskets for Easter came about, to give people a basket full of goodies. It could be not just hard boiled eggs, but it could be bread, it could be um, meats, it could be vegetables, it could be fruit. And of course, today we put in a little Easter bunny in there, some chocolate, and but it all started with Maundy Thursday, because that's the day that Jesus, our Lord, um, instituted uh, the Last Supper, a communion with Him and with each other, and also washed their feet and said, you know, you've got to serve each other. You've got to serve each other. And this is very important because um, Jaime Esparza seems to forget what our country was founded on. It was founded on Maundy Thursday, where you wash each other's feet, you give of yourself, you are a public servant. And I think that Gregory MacDonald has forgotten Maundy Thursday. Maybe someone, it's not too late now. It's Easter's coming up, and the Easter season is coming up. You can go and give him a basket and say, maybe a T-shirt that says "Where's Richard?" With some goodies in it, and say, "This is how you serve the community. This is how you serve God in your position that is very privileged. You get everything given to you. You get these fancy buildings, fancy offices. You get job security. You get retirement security, and a lot of perks, along the ways. So I think that he has forgotten what that is all about, because we have 20,000 unaccompanied children from Fort Bliss, and that is a failure on his part. Absolutely. And of course, where's Richard? So, and we can go into Jeff Downey, the FBI lead there in El Paso, forgot Maundy Thursday. And I would say Veronica Escobar indeed forgot Maundy Thursday. And God, Jesus was teaching us what it entails to be a public servant. And she agreed to become a public servant. So did the AUSAs. So did the DA, Bill Hicks. And in our case, we have not received a phone call for victims advocacy. And that would have given us a lot of information and a lot of support to get to the bottom of this quicker. Very quick. Because you see, Castner Range is now part of Find Richard Halliday. So we know, information is coming in. So that's what we know. Information is coming in. And of course, we know from Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe, he was looking for some remains of Richard there at Kamal Jabul. Let me see if I can put it up here properly. I did. Okay. So here it is. So down here is El Paso. And in this area here, I would like someone to really help me out with this map, because I think Donna Anna Training Ground, Training Complex is nearby. This is where Castner Range is. This is where they do the Kamal Jabul, Afghanistan mock city, bumps up to that. But if I'm wrong, because the maps are a little bit difficult, definitely let me know about them. So this area here is Very interesting, and it's always been on our minds. And now, in the last few days, with the new information that we have received, it's really on our minds. And because you can't forget, we received a phone call in December of 2020 that they were looking for remains of Richard in that area during Christmas, y'all. During Christmas. So um, I believe that there are several different areas, um, shallow graves, or so that would account for the father in law saying they were looking in different places, okay? Because somebody knew what they were doing and they had learned from Veronica Escobar, apparently, uh, that you can't take a chance because wild animals found Vanessa, even with the lime on her, even with the concrete on her. Um, it was so bad that the animals um, absolutely smelled her, and yeah, that's how the linemen found that area because animals were there and they were curious why the animals were there, and that's how she was found. It was not because Texas EquuSearch was so close, but they were called off. They were called off after they found the Pelican case. They were called off by the CID, which is another negligence. And I think that I need to reach out with the Guillen family now because when I think about her case, when I think about Austin Hawk's case, when I think about Elder Fernandez's case, when I think of Caleb Smithers' case, when I think of Enrique Roman Martinez's case, which is a cold case, um, I really think that there's many of us that can do a class action lawsuit because of what Javier, Judge Javier Rodriguez did for us with the Southland. Let me turn this off now and see with this Sutherland Springs mass shooting. Um, and what happened is the Attorney General um, said the announcement brings the litigation to a close, but no words or amount of money can diminish the immense tragedy of the mass shooting in Sutherland Springs. Absolutely. The settlement comes after months of back and forth in the case. Why? Why months? A district judge originally ruled that the government was 60% responsible. That is, Judge uh, Xavier, or you can say Javier Rodriguez, for the attack that took place because of its failure to enter the shooter's domestic violence history into the background check system. The judge said the government owed the families $230 million. They appealed, and the settlement was for, I don't know if it has it here, but the settlement, oh yeah, here it is. The settlement is for 144,500,000. So that's a lot of money. And like the Attorney General said, no amount of money can replace their loved ones and their health because even a pregnant woman was killed. So where is the authorities in this? Where are the representative, especially Veronica Escobar? Okay, where is? I would say he has been doing a good job. He shouldn't drop the ball now. I mean, even though he gets flipped off. Do you know what they've done to us? Do you know what they've done to us? And all we want to do is find Richard. So why can't Ted Cruz take a little and keep going? I'm sure he can. So he needs to keep going in this case, and finding out where Richard is, because I'm going to tell you that I believe, I believe that before we even got to Fort Bliss, they already had found Richard's remains and they're hiding his remains. That's what I believe. And I think that there was more involved in this. And one of the very interesting things that, because you have to, it takes so long for Team Find Richard Halliday because we don't have these huge staffs. We don't, my father was on his deathbed here and passed away in August. Um, and I'm so happy that I was able, with my mother and my husband, my daughter, my sister, to care for him in his last days, right in our own home, and moving them down from Virginia, getting them in an apartment, training two nurses at the end when it was just, it was something. But we gave him an absolute comfortable, caring, beautiful Monday, Thursday departure to the next life, to the beautiful life of the living. And so I'm very grateful for that. We don't have these big buildings and everything like these agencies, like the CID, like the FBI, like the Department of Defense, who have absolutely betrayed us. And I would even call it treason. I would even call it treason at this point. And I think that we need to put the death penalty really back on the table to discuss the accountability for what they've done. Because even if I am wrong and they did not find Richard's remains before we even got to El Paso, before we even knew that Richard was missing, if I'm wrong about that, everything else, we have piles and piles and piles of other things that that shows that this is a botched investigation and that we were very let down in our own institutions, and also the Department of Justice, which is Merrick Garland. He let us down. We put that was Bill Barr. Bill Barr also let us down. We put in a request for the Department of Justice to oversee this because we saw so many anomalies. We saw so many things that were insane, that didn't make sense. So my husband asked for an oversight from the Department of Justice, and they denied. And do you know that people laughed at us, that we did not get oversight? So going through all of the information again, and seeing things with every new lead, with every new piece of information, with every crumb, right? We call it Operation Hansel and Gretel. With every crumb that we get, and today we got a few, and they're big. They're big crumbs. One of those made us very interested in looking through the paperwork again, looking through the announcements made by Lieutenant General Sean Bernabe during this time at Fort Bliss, stroking the response for Richard that was absolutely abysmal. And he did say our failures in Vanessa Guillen's case is what drove us to make changes. And he wrote that article, and whoever wrote that article, I need to look. It was a campaign ad for the Army. And but one thing that was interesting in that is he lists all the people that were involved in the search for Richard, and he mentions ATF. the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. And you have to understand, I don't know all of this stuff. This was not my area of operation. I'm a wife and a mom and a housekeeper, a gardener, a homeschooler. I'm the one that bakes the cookies, right? I like to bake the cookies. I like to um, serve these soldiers, these service members, the families. I like to bring them a little sunshine in life, even if it's with a care package. Um, that's who I am. I do not know all these different organizations, and it's very, maybe God is saying, it's about time you learn it. It's about time you learn it. And so today I did learn. I always thought maybe some drugs were involved in this. In this case, drug trafficking, along with the child sex trafficking, the human trafficking, and also the pornography, the child sex pornography. We know that that's very, very big money. The whole thing is very, very big money, and it shouldn't be. And there's not the agencies. Something happened with the agencies, and I'm looking into that to learn better why we're in the situation that we are now, that all of our agencies are so corrupt and could be bought off so easily instead of doing what is right for our Constitution, the land, and the people, and why they don't respect the Constitution and would give their life for the Constitution. That's the whole oath. When you become a servant here in the United States, when you become a public servant, when you become join the military, you swear to defend the Constitution even unto death. And those oaths have been so made meaningless, no weight there, because there's no esprit de corps. There's no love for the country. People don't know why the Constitution is worth dying for. And so I'm here every day to tell you that the Constitution is worth dying for. But the Constitution only works with biblical law. Okay, so the Institutes of Biblical Law, and that's why that was something that I learned about during homeschooling our children, because I wanted them to understand that rule by the mob is not the way to go. So that would be like democracy ruled by the mob, gone astray. And when I first heard that, I was shocked. What are you talking about? We defend democracy. But see, democracy, as long as it is in a republic, okay? As long as there's oversight, as long as we have oversight with our voices. And that's why we have all of our agencies, and even to check our votes, our elections. We have to have oversight for that, because a free country cannot exist unless even the elections have oversight. And so I think that that is very, very important. And we were called domestic terrorists for going to January 6th to pass out prayer candles for our son. And talking about prayers, I'm going to share something with you today, because it is Maundy, Thursday. And yeah, so here it is. Let's see. Here's a collect for today. And, this is something that really has benefited our family. We're not really big, I don't want to say evangelical, but we really respect other people and their privacy and their right. Of course, we want justice, and we want our rights also, and our rights to find our son also, and the right to live our life according to our faith, and be respected and be respected just like we respect other people. And I think that that has been one of the things that I have tried to do during this whole thing. Um, this whole, is to respect other people and where they come from and what they think. Now, I drew the line on this colonel that was grooming, being evangelical with his sex cult, okay? Being a groomer, being coercive, trying to get people into his sex cult so he can rear them. Um, and I drew the line, especially a colonel in uniform on our posts where we have vulnerable volunteer sons and daughters. And where is Veronica Escobar in this? Where is the 44 four-star generals in this? Where is the oversight in this? Because another thing that we found out today um, is that we were told by Command Sergeant Major Jakovitz, who his sidekick was Major General Clem Coward, that they brought in girls during the COVID, and we found out today that they paid them. They paid them to come in. Now, is that like prostitution? Or is our taxpayers' money going into paying prostitution? Or what is that all about? What kind of service did these young girls bring? Right? Is this drug smuggling? Because we know that the mules come in, that the barracks are absolutely marketplaces for illegal drugs. So, this is such a convoluted, diabolical situation that we have here. And our public servants were so cowardly. They, especially Senator Graham, he's such a coward. He only comes out when it serves his purpose. And believe you me, that's why he's doing what he's doing right now. And of course, the same thing with Veronica Escobar, the same thing with William Timmons. And, these are Republicans and Democrats that I find are, really have been cowardly during COVID, during a very shocking time in our military when we had many families, many Gold Star families, many families that needed help. They should have had it down to a T how to deal with these kind of crimes, and the family members and the victims advocacy should have been, Bill Hicks, when he came in, he should have right away called all of these victims that he absolutely knows. And he didn't call us. He didn't call us. So I don't know if that's a good DA. And Jaime Esparza, he didn't call us. I don't know if that's a good attorney general. I don't think so. I think F minus. By now, F minus, because we haven't even gotten a response from our inquiries, from the information that we have sent in. And of course, Veronica Escobar gets an F minus, minus, minus. 3 minuses now. It was 2 minuses. And so where's Gregory McDonald? Because if some of Richard's remains were found in Juarez, Mexico, and he knows about it, and he did not contact us. He did not look into that. That vicious crime at the border, that's his job. That's why he gets the perks. That's why he gets the privilege. So, yeah, I just think that they have forgotten Maundy, Thursday. What the meaning of service is. And one thing that I taught my children are colics, and it came kind of late. I don't know. This is something new for me in the last years. And of course, our children are, they're married and have children. I'm a Gigi. I'm a Gigi 8 times over. I have 8 grandbabies. And how fortunate am I? I praise God every day. for my grandbabies. My James, my Sammy, my Noel, my Robert, my Robbie, my Peter, my Connor, my Molly, and my Stephen. And and I would like more. I'm so greedy with grandchildren. Because it's so much fun. It's so much fun to be a grandparent. Um, so I will definitely teach them this, because if people are like me and it's a little awkward to say a prayer, I love collects, because collects it's just one sentence. All collects are one sentence. It's a prayer and it's called a collect. And in the Book of Common Prayer, there's a collect for all kinds of situations in life. And every day you can pray a collect. And on Monday, Thursday, you can pray a collect and read lessons. And I love it because it's one sentence. One sentence. The sentence now can contain 5 parts, like Almighty Father. That would be the address. And whose dear Son, on the night before he suffered, did institute the sacrament of his body and blood. That would be the acknowledgement. Okay, you're acknowledging the greatness of Almighty Father. And then you go on to the petition. Mercifully grant that we may thankfully receive the same in remembrance of him. And it continues with an aspiration. What are you aspiring for if you were given this sacrament? And it is, who in these holy mysteries giveth us a pledge of life eternal. And then the last part of the sentence is the pleading. Because he's the King of Kings. He's the great creator. And we get down on our knees. We get down on our bellies. And we plead with him, who now liveth and reigneth with thee and the Holy Spirit, ever one God, world without end. Amen. And of course, that's the Trinity, the one and the many. And I'm seeing that in a lot of chat groups that I'm involved in. I wish I could be more involved. That they're really coming to the point where they're going to have to debate the one and the many. And like I said before, the only thing that saves us from totalitarianism is the one, the most important, right? Is Washington, D.C. the most important? Or is all of the United States or all of creation more important? Which one, right? And with God in the Trinity and the one and the many, they're all important. The one is important and all of creation is important. Richard is important, and that's why people would just give up everything to find that sheep. They would leave their 99 to find the lamb, the one lamb that was missing. And that's where we get that from the very beginning of the Bible. We have an answer to the one and the many. That's why we, in the Western world, celebrate birthdays. It's spreading. It's spreading. But we would celebrate birthdays because you were a prince. You were a princess. You were an heir of Christendom. And so I think that is really important to know, because I have felt that way about Richard. The minute I set my eyes on him, and he was so shy, right? He was so shy. He was in a different building than Robert. Robert was the oldest child in the orphanage. He was almost 8 years old at the time. And so he was the oldest child in the orphanage, and he had some confidence there. But his confidence was that he wanted to get out of there. Okay, so he grabbed my hand and he was like, "Mama, and take me away, and bye Poland." And Richard was, he was so young. He had been through, Robert has more memories, and Richard, much much more reserved, and yeah, soft, very soft, um, but tough. It's hard to describe Richard. So I really miss him. I put up the video today, and I know that I talked to Sammy at hours and hours and hours about our family, about Richard, for him to understand the kind of environment that Richard came from, how he would respond to things, how we think, of course, you're a young man, and you're away from family, and we never disregarded anything that Sammy said. Um, so, but we spent hours talking to him, and he says, "Well, I know that you cry sometimes for Richard." And I said, "What are you talking about?" Um, uh, Tears are daily for Richard. This has been hell. I was sent a song the other day. I did post it up. This has been hell. And I am a pretty mild person when it comes to being involved publicly. And I have had to do things that I never dreamt of doing. And going up against these multi-billion, multi-trillion powerhouses. I don't even know if I call them agencies anymore. Okay? Rob calls them the big green machine. I call them a snake pit. They are a snake pit. And if they found even parts of Richard and did not tell us, and they did that before we even knew he was missing, and they did not even send a person to our home, that they did not even notify us, I think that the death penalty needs to be square on the table. That's how I feel about this. Because you're talking about every service member being disenfranchised here. You're talking about every taxpayer being disenfranchised here. Fraud, waste, and abuse, crime at the highest level. And all of a sudden, we have the ATF involved. Now, why would the ATF be brought in? I'm looking into this because from what I know, what I've been told, they don't easily come into a case. Okay, just like the CIA, they don't. They don't believe that this is an. I should say, hey, I was called a domestic terrorist, but because the cartels have never been fully labeled a domestic terrorist. Because that's an interesting discussion there. Very interesting discussion going down into colonial Juarez and what is a domestic terrorist, what is a violent terroristic group that means harm to the United States. What is it? It needs to be defined. We need to define that because I'm learning things that I think are far worse. I was asked today, what can you give an example of how you have been bullied? Right? I can give. I was like, sure, I can give lists of ways of how they've done us violence, how they've bullied us, how they've used asymmetric warfare tactics on us, how they've used military operations on us. And all we wanted to know was, where's our son? And we had, when Rob called Captain Yoshida, you have to remember this. He broke up. He was crying. He was not a captain that, oh yeah, your son went AWOL and he left us. This is not the case. So at that time, did he know that Richard's partial remains were found? I'd like to know. were partial remains found there in Juarez. And that would answer the question for the father-in-law of Lieutenant Colonel Bugado in the G3, who walks in. We have the video. You can watch the video. We have the CCTV footage. We were there less than an hour after he was there, and got the cashier's video testimony on that. And he, why is this 60-year-old man concerned about a missing soldier's flyer on the door? Okay, to take it off. Unless he is an FBI informant, unless he has been told things by his son-in-law, Lieutenant Colonel in the G3 32nd ADCOM, that's Richard's wedding planner, okay? That is where the op-ords are made. And the other thing with this report that Lieutenant General Bernabe released, that we're looking back over, that the ATF were brought back into this. This is the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. So something is involved in this, right? Something is involved in this. And two of those are quite alarming. Quite alarming. Because Richard liked to smoke cigars. Okay? And people are like, what? Yeah, he liked to smoke cigars. They have this, they put us in a box of how they think our family operates. And they get it all wrong. They get it all wrong. So, do we eat pork? No. But could he smoke a cigar? Sure. Could he have a beer? Sure. Could he have a whiskey? Sure. So people don't even understand how our family works and why it works the way it does, because they haven't read the Institutes of Biblical Law. You don't build a balcony or a staircase without railings. Then you're liable, according to God. He gives us safety. You don't dig a hole without putting a guard up to warn people that there's a hole there so that they don't fall in the hole, right? So things that God takes very seriously, our society has forgotten. So, so I don't think it was because of alcohol that the ATF were involved. I don't think it was because of tobacco. That unless Richard had a cigar in his shirt, I don't believe he did, or in his uniform, because that is still something that we have been told that we are waiting yet to get an official answer back from the command. Was Richard in uniform? Okay. So if a part of him was found in Mexico and parts were found also in the United States, then and they kept that from us and they covered it up, I don't know what crime is worse than that. I really don't. Is it killing Richard, the murder of Richard, that's so bad, or is it the system covering up the egregious botched case and crimes committed in trying to search Richard? So let's see what else I have here. This is an interesting area. I just put Castner Range because this area here, Fort Bliss EIB Range, this is training areas here, and there is even a landing strip right there. There's also a prison facility out there. And so I just think it's an interesting area to look at. um, because why is Castner Range so important all of a sudden? And why won't Veronica Escobar give us an acknowledgement and give us some answers to our inquiries? And why has she failed to do what she said that she was going to do at that very public rally? So I think that is, let's see, what is this here? Oh, this is White Sands Test Center. Now, I want to explain to you that I was born here. I was born here at White Sands. Okay? So people can't even believe it that I was born here because nobody's born there anymore. I don't think so. How many people do you know that was born at White Sands Missile Range in Donna Ana County, New Mexico? That's on my birth certificate. I was born in this area. We would go there and have a great time every time we visited friends. So I know this area. I know Cloudcroft because we would go camping every weekend. My mom would have our station wagon. We had a station wagon when we lived on Fort Bliss. She would have it all packed, ready to go with all the food, that tent, everything like that. Maybe my dad did it the day before with the tent and everything, but I remember she had it all packed, ready to go. And as soon as he came home, she was ready to go to the mountains, and we took off to the mountains and camped all the time, even with the bears up there. We had to outsmart the bears, but great place, so many beautiful memories. So I know this area, and I know that Chaparral is in this area because of my dad being ADA, right? Donna Ana Range, Castner Range. I've heard him talk about all of this. I had a very outgoing father. When he came to help search for Richard, he went up to Las Cruces. He also visited an old friend there, so that gave us some insight. So we're very familiar with this area. And I told that to the first sergeant that, I have a lot of questions for these first sergeants. A lot of questions. Yeah. And with this case now, let me put it up there, see if I got it. Oh no, this is the ATF. They're hiring now. So why are the alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and explosive involved? Well, I think it's because of firearms and explosives. So what did they find with Richard? Okay? What did they find? What were they interested in? And that's just me questioning. That's me brainstorming. So I think that is a direction that we need to look into right now. And then, of course, the Sutherland Springs shooting victims settlement for $144 million and 500,000. I think that is a huge open door for us for a class action lawsuit, which yeah, so we're in the process of looking how to do this right. To I'm reading my notes on all the people, because of course we're in contact with the IG on this. We're so transparent, y'all. Like if you're a criminal, we're so transparent. But anyway, we're going to put in a claim. What we need is discovery. We need to know what date Richard put in that CPS complaint, what he was complaining about, who he was complaining about, why he was complaining, because did the command not do anything about the information? Okay, so that would be another dereliction of duty. Richard would not have to have gone to the Child Protective Services if the command were doing their duty, and especially with the SOPs and, bringing in girls during COVID lockdown and paying them? What were they? Were they creating a brothel inside of their marketplace for illegal drugs and alcohol flowing like crazy? Um, that's and then rapes. I mean, they're doing that, and Asia Graham is being raped. And they tell her to shut up, and they put her rapist 2 doors down from her because the barracks are co-ed, y'all, and it's like 9 to 1 minimum. 9 to 1, 9 males to 1 female. Now, maybe that's why they want to confuse you, because they want to recruit more of our beautiful daughters into the military. But they, along with all these men, but they are, and do it cheaply, just stuff them all in the same barracks, but they are at risk. And that's why our rape numbers are so high, our sexual assault so high. And Major General Clem Coward could have done something about it when he was in D.C. in his last years before he retired. He knew what was going on there. He was part of it there at Fort Bliss, and he did not do anything when he was in D.C. in charge of the sexual assault and the safety of women. So why did they even put him in charge of that? He could have absolutely pushed for women to have their separate, safe barracks, guarded barracks, and for the SOPs for the barracks to be followed. And they're not being followed at all, because we have the SOP, the standard operating procedure for the barracks. So this is, the down and the dirty of the negligence and the constant retaliation, why the soldiers are shaking, why they're as Elder Fernandez's mother said, trained to suicide, why the mental health problem is rising so quickly, why there's so many suicides, why so many are on mental health medication, because that's not good, y'all. That's not good when you are in charge of very dangerous equipment. And just like this Sutherland Springs, he was in the Air Force. He had mental health issues. He had violent issues, and they failed to report it. And who knows what kind of medication he was on. They failed to report it, and by doing that, his name was not on the National Registry for those who should not be able to purchase weapons. So they were not following what they claim is so important. Those weapons, they kill. No, it's not the weapons that kill. It's the Air Force that's not doing their duty in reporting mental illness and violent people into the system. We have a system in place, and it's like they're grooming to have these mass shootings, because they're not doing their duty when it comes to it. And we have 44 four-star generals that could click heels together that can make this run like clockwork. And they don't do it. So what's going on with the guns and the explosives? And we don't get answers. There's so many crimes. There's so many crimes that I am not being absurd. I am not being crazy to think that the DOD, the Department of Defense, and that the FBI are covering up the remains of our son that they found. There's so many outlandish, insane, and I've been saying it for years, that is not outrageous to say that, to even think it. And maybe it's because of them bullying us. Maybe it's because of the asymmetric warfare tactics they've pulled on us. Maybe it's because of the military operations that they have conducted on the family of a missing soldier. And not just any missing soldier, the very first CONUS DUS-1 missing soldier under the new Vanessa Guillen absent soldier flow chart. They've just kicked Vanessa Guillen and her family right in the teeth, and every service member. Just like they did with the plea deals for Austin Hawk's case. because they don't want the public to know what's going on in the military, in the DOD. They want that continued support. They want all the blessings of the support of the American people without any of the responsibility. And they need to be held accountable for failing on their responsibility, not only failing on their responsibility, but being negligent, by being derelict, by serving foreign and domestic enemies against the best interests of the Constitution, the land, and the people. So if you have questions, I will definitely take those right now. I hope I said everything. There's so much information coming in that maybe the questions will jog my memory of other things that I wanted to be transparent about, and just about everything. Turn this down. Thank you for coming on Monday, Thursday. Wow, thank you so much. Anicia, thank you so much. Danielle, thank you so much. Marilyn, thank you so much. Yeah, I really appreciate it. Thank you. God bless you. And I will make this announcement tonight. Tomorrow is Good Friday. It's coming up in 30 minutes. And I observe Good Friday. So that's why I wanted to talk about prayer today. That's why I wanted to talk about the grief, because I think grief is very healthy at the appropriate time. And tomorrow is the appropriate time. So I need a good cry about Richard. I need a very good cry about how our Lord was betrayed by the very people that claim that they supported him. And the evil justice system that we have now, just like in the days of Herod or of Pontius Pilate, that they let Barabbas go. So I do observe Good Friday, and I just wanted to make that very clear. Also, I think I have settled on a t-shirt. Thank you so much for everybody's input when it comes to the t-shirt. I think Where's Richard is very, very important. I don't even think we need his face anymore. I think we just need to ask, where's Richard? And so we'll be putting those out again because of this class action. This Sutherland Springs case that Judge Javier Rodriguez gave us is like a plate of gold pieces. Okay? And what do I mean by that? I mean to be able to get justice, to be able to have someone in authority that will do the right thing, to have a standard, to have, this set a precedence that we can get some justice in this. And so, I think, and I always told all my children, you're my gold piece. You're my gold piece. So gold piece, money comes and goes. But family, but support, but justice, but true public servants, true friends, they are gold pieces. And that's what I mean by that. And I just want to say thank you for being a gold piece, following us. And I want to say thank you to Judge Javier Rodriguez. That was amazing what he just gave us. And it wasn't just us. It was so many of these Gold Star families that feel like they were betrayed, that they had a botched investigation. And so we'll see. We'll see how that goes forward. But pray, and thank you so much. God bless you. And I will see you not tomorrow night, but the night after that. So Saturday night. or maybe Saturday day. Maybe I'll have something really new for Saturday morning or Saturday day. Um, but tomorrow, I think, yeah, we we need a time to definitely grieve. Okay, thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back Saturday, God willing.